Broadcasting more local radio programs than any other station in California. We are KCAA.
Good morning. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are On the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. Little Aretha Franklin in the morning to get you going.
Who can sing?
She really can. She's got the voice of an angel. It's just, yeah, love her. Love her, love her, love her. So, Tobin, you're all decked out in running gear.
I am going to run today. I promise it's going to happen.
You didn't yesterday.
I did not yesterday. I was going to run yesterday. I left here yesterday and felt miserable. I'm still kind of been cycling through this cold/flu or whatever, and it hit me hard yesterday. Upset stomach, aches and pains, tired, headache all day long. Didn't feel like I could keep food down, and I slept. You know, you came home and I was sound asleep.
You were zonked.
I don't sleep through the day, But
yep.
It was a rough day yesterday, but I'm feeling a little better today, and I'm going to run today. I got a friend of mine who I've never run with before, but who's new to running and wants to run with me. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So.
Yes. So this is the last full day before the last full weekday, and last day that we're on the air before the new year.
It is, and I'm kind of excited for the new year.
Are you?
I kind of felt like 2017 was not my favorite year.
Yeah.
And I can't put my finger on it and say it was one thing or the other. It just seemed like there was a bunch of sort of negative stuff. Like people were just kind of in a grouchy, bad mood all year long.
You know, it's so true because, and that really started. Well, 2016 was rough for me because I lost my mom at the end of the summer of 2016.
Yeah.
But then in 2017, I lost a dear friend, and yeah, not just me. I mean, the whole community. He was a friend to everyone.
Yeah.
And it seems like people have been in a funk for the last couple of years.
I'm going to just jump right out there and blame Trump.
How is it his fault?
I don't know, but it is.
Sure.
It's just, that's what we do now. We blame people. We blame,
and when Obama was president, everybody blamed him. It's Obama's fault.
It's true.
And there were memes of the pictures of Obama dancing, and can you tell me how this is my fault or something like that?
Yes.
Because the president is God.
Yes.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's just a guy with a really hard job.
Yeah.
Just saying. So
anyway, I'm glad for the end of the year and looking forward to a fresh start. I even tell my students, when they come back in January, I say, it's going to be a fresh start for you guys. The grades are cumulative to the semester, and then we start fresh. So everyone gets a fresh start in January.
So how do you, if you look back, what are some of the stories from this year that really stick out for you, stand out for you?
Well, I think the obvious ones are like the shooting in Las Vegas. I think that the big storms, I think those were really big. Those are kind of the big ones. The election which was technically last year, but
he was sworn in on
the inauguration,
yeah.
and a lot of the political stories kind of jump out at me. I don't know. Those are sort of the big ones.
Healthcare at the end of the year here, tax reform, all of this Russia stuff, all the terrorist activity around the world. Recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, all kinds of stuff. That it's been a crazy year. So and the solar eclipse, that was huge.
That was kind of a cool one.
That was a cool one. Yeah. So the full solar eclipse, and I remember in 1979 when they had the last one. Mm-hmm. How cool it was. I was a little kid, so how cool it was at that point. It was nice to experience it as an adult. I was here on the air, so
yeah.
How nice it was to experience it as an adult. I say I was on the air. I was here at the station.
Yeah. I felt like, it was an interesting, exciting thing, but we kind of botched it as a school district. That there was conflicting messages about what we could and couldn't do with the kids, and there was a lot of concern about kids looking directly at the sun and getting vision problems and being blinded, and so it wasn't handled particularly well, and so I think that was a part that was a little scary, a little disappointing to me, because as a teacher, on the one hand, you want to have your kids all be able to see this and experience it.
But on the other hand, you've got your district sort of screaming at you about, the risks and, you can't do this. But we were all distributed one of these little pinhole viewing things for the kids, right? Yeah, but kids are kids. They're going to look up.
Yeah, and, and middle school is a tough age because on the one hand, they really are old enough that they should know better and you should be able to trust them. On the other hand, it's also the age where when you tell kids don't do something, guess what? They're most likely to do it, I mean, that's that total contrarian age where they really want to test every limit. And so I felt really kind of constrained. And so actually my students, did not go outside right as it was happening. But we had a passing period, which is another thing that no one had really considered. Middle school, we have passing periods. And we had a passing period during that time frame when it was supposed to be going on. And so as soon as that bell rang for the passing period, all these kids went running outside, with no teacher sort of being in control of them. In the chaos of the passing period, I'm going to look up, So it was
because they're 12.
There was a lot of stress. I'll just say that. It was a lot of stress. But that was a big story and very cool. And some of the images that we saw were just, wow.
The weather has been a huge story this year.
Yeah.
From the winter that we had with flooding and the Oro Grande or whatever it was called river, the dam that almost broke.
Yes.
The washing out of Highway 1 off of Big Sur. Where like all of a sudden you can't drive up the coast the same way you used to be because the road is just gone.
Massive landslide.
Yeah. To the hurricanes in Houston and in Puerto Rico and every place else that was hit. Entire Caribbean islands were decimated. To the fires. I mean, California, well, not only California, the entire West was on fire this summer.
Yeah.
Montana, Washington, Oregon, I think Idaho, huge chunks of California. And I think the one in Ventura is still burning. I mean, it's almost out, I think, but it's still burning.
Yeah. The other one, too, I'm thinking about is this whole Me Too thing that's been going on.
Oh, yeah.
And all the men who've been sort of outed, as sexual predators. I mean, when it first started, you thought, wow, okay. And then it just kind of kept going. And as it crossed, from one field into the next, and the stories in some ways are oddly similar, but in each way kind of its own unique sort of disgusting moment. And you're like, really? Somebody did that? Ooh,
Yes.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either, especially the pleasuring oneself in front of another.
Yeah.
What the heck? Who would do that?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's such a... In what universe is that okay behavior?
Yeah.
And clearly they thought it was okay because they continued to do it. Or they thought, well, I'm just powerful enough, nobody's going to say anything. And, careers were ruined. I mean, I think of and the pedophilia stuff is really just starting to come out. Corey Feldman was raked over the coals. Even Barbara Walters, and we've talked about this, and Barbara Walters was, you're besmirching or you're whatever, an entire industry. Yeah, well, because it needs to be outed.
Yeah.
And you think about what was done to Rose McGowan, and she still has, she's still blackballed.
Yeah.
She had a great career until Weinstein.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting that a lot of these other people won't say it, but because it's upended the what used to be normal, the way the business was done, some people are upset. Even though they weren't participants directly, they were used to that system. They understood that system. They got how it worked, and they were enablers. And so you see kind of this passive kind of pushback against some of these folks. And you mentioned Rose McGowan still being sort of blackballed,
Yep. I think this is the year that the sexual revolution's chickens came home to roost.
Yeah.
And I say this because if you throw out all the rules, then people will behave as if there are no rules.
Yeah.
And I understand why the sexual revolution happened because the 50s were pretty repressive, but the pendulum swung way too far.
Yeah.
And now we're back to women being victims all the time. And I don't like that as a woman.
Yeah.
I don't like this idea that that women can't handle their own.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not talking about sexual harassment where there's a power dynamic, and I'm talking about now I've moved to like college campuses where two people are drunk and she cries rape and he's like, we were both drunk and we were both into it, and everybody believes her.
Yeah.
She's responsible for her own body. He's responsible for his own body. Now, the Brock Turner, that guy raping somebody behind a dumpster, or she was unconscious. Yeah, okay, that was rape.
Yes.
So, I like Camille Paglia a lot. She's a feminist, and she's a first wave feminist were the suffragettes, right? Mm-hmm. Then the second wave feminists were in the 60s, where they really just wanted to be independent, because at that time and this is still true when I was at Brigham Young, women had to be in their dorms by a certain hour, and it had to be locked up. And back in the 60s, before I was born, the women in women's dorms on college campuses, they had to check in, and it was very much like they had a mother where the guys can come and go as they wanted. The second wave feminists sought to get rid of that and similar societal norms, right?
Yes.
Where women were treated as children. And now things have gone so berserk that women are wanting to be treated as children. Do you kind of hear? Do you see what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Where they feel like they need to be protected from toxic masculinity. It's like, no, I don't need a mommy.
Yeah.
I'm strong enough to know that I shouldn't drink so much that I'm passing out somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm strong enough to know that if I'm going to go to a party with a bunch of people I don't know, I'm taking some friends with me, or I'm not going.
Yeah.
I'm strong enough to know that if I'm meeting a guy that I've never met before, going on a date, like from Tinder or whatever,
mm-hmm.
I would meet at a public place and maybe take a friend.
Yes, and that you want to make sure that other people have information about where you are, who you're with. These are precautions. These are safety measures.
Yes.
To make sure that you have some safety net, some protection if something goes wrong, because you don't know.
There are predators out there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. There are predators out there. I'm not delusional about that, but most men aren't.
Yeah.
And this kind of idea, there's a pejorative term that's come out of the alt-right circles called soy boys. Mm-hmm. And soy boys kind of is that very effeminate, very feminist man,
yes.
who kowtows to whatever the whims of women want. I don't think that's good either. And honestly, frankly, I don't know that women want that.
No, I agree.
They want men. Isn't that strange? Women want men.
Erin, you're going to get in trouble.
I am going to get in
You're
trouble.
Gonna get in trouble. You said something that was a gaffe. You said the truth, but it offended people.
Offended people.
Some people out there are offended.
I mean, if you're a guy, just be you.
Yeah.
You don't have to fit into any whatever. You don't have to fit into any ideal put out there by the media about what manliness is. Just be a guy. And that doesn't mean smoking pot and playing video games all day. It means being responsible, having a job, going to school, doing whatever it is that you do, and working hard.
Yes. Yes. And every so often, scratching and spitting and doing that kind of stuff.
If you say so.
I'm just saying that's what men do.
That's
Erin.
That's
what men do.
Do you ever watch a baseball game? That's what men do.
I tease.
With that, it's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
What if I told you you'd never have to make a house payment again? What if you could pay off much-needed home repairs and even create an income stream based on the value of your home? If you're 62 years old or older, you could be eligible for a reverse mortgage. Call Tim Harrison and find out if a reverse mortgage is right for you. Call Tim at 800-566-2475. That's 800-566-2475. Tim Harrison, branch manager, NMLS number 170960. Broadview Mortgage Corporation is licensed by the Department of Business Oversight under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. License number 170952. Registered with the Nationwide Mortgage Licensing System and registry number 813B544. Broadview Mortgage, equal housing lender. Remember, if you never want to make a house payment again, except for property taxes, maintenance, and insurance, that's 800-566-2475. That's 800-566-2475.
The people who care at Affordable Plumbing in Rancho Cucamonga take this special time out to recognize and salute the men and women in uniform that are standing tall for our political and economic freedoms around the globe. Let's remember them in our thoughts, prayers, and letters from home. That's courtesy of Affordable Plumbing, your complete plumbing contractors with a reputation for quality work at prices you can afford. For an estimate, call 909-888-3260. Affordable Plumbing offers a military discount. That's Affordable Plumbing, on the air because they care.
Locals in Loma Linda and Redlands all know and love the Family Homestyle Cafe, the home of the world's largest pancakes and the delicious mouth-watering food cooked up daily by their well-trained chefs. Sizzling thick-cut bacon, ham, and hand-pressed sausage. They take pride in the best quality, great economical values, with better portions served up with the pride of local ownership and great service. Near the corner of Anderson and Redlands Boulevard in Loma Linda, if you haven't tried out Chef Mark's Delights, you haven't had some of the best food in the area. And now, Chef Mark is upgrading his cafe and offering space for on-site gatherings, luncheons, and parties. Add a DJ for a great holiday party or luncheon, and you've got a no-fuss event with all the bells and whistles. Call Mark today at 909-478-9996. That's 909-478-9996. Or stop by the Homestyle Cafe in Loma Linda at Anderson and Redlands Boulevard. This is Joe Lyons. The Mark Christopher Auto Center family now brings you a look into our new year.
Ben Franklin had some words of advice at the turn of a new year. He wrote, "Be at war with your vices, at peace with your neighbors, and let every new year find you a better man." To his way of thinking, a person's success is measured not on the basis of what he has, but on the basis of what he is. As 2018 unfolds, let's strive to become the best version of ourselves.
There's nothing like a brand new car for the brand new year, especially when you can save on a brand new car at the giant Mark Christopher Auto Center year-end clearance sale. And if that doesn't get you in the holiday spirit, nothing will. So hurry on down for the final markdown of the year going on right now at the giant Mark Christopher Auto Center, right on the 10 freeway in Ontario, or go online to markchristopher.com. Happy New Year from Mark Christopher, California's #1 volume GM dealer, family-owned and doing things right since 1975.
We can't be everything to everyone, or can we? The station that leaves no listener behind, KCAA.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3 on this last show of 2017. Looking back at the year, and then later in the show we'll be looking forward into 2018, making predictions. And do you do New Year's resolutions, Tobin?
Okay. So over the last few years, I've made some pretty big ones. So last year my goal was to do 1,000 miles, and I did it, right? But this year I really don't have one solidly set in my mind yet. I'm really debating with myself what that goal is going to be, and there's a lot of reasons why I don't want to set something yet, because we've got a lot of other things that are going on this year, and I don't want to create some goal for myself that's going to conflict with all the other stuff we've got planned.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I have a difficult time with New Year's resolutions because, and we'll talk about this more in the second half of the show, like I said, but my challenge with them is that there's so many things that I do during the day, and I volunteer, and people ask me to do things, and obviously there's work and et cetera, and then way back at the very bottom of all of my things to do is myself.
Yeah.
And what's the first to go when I'm tired?
Yeah, you don't take care of yourself.
At all.
Yeah. See, and that's the difference between you and I, because I put my stuff right at the top of the list. And so all this other stuff I'm supposed to be doing doesn't get done, and then people get mad at me. So I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but I had to run. I had to do me. I mean, and I'm being honest. I mean, that's how I approach it, and there are consequences to that. You know, I mean, I saw that I had to give up a lot of stuff this year because of the running, and it kind of put pressure on other things that I was supposed to be doing, and you know, that was hard. That's hard when you try to balance all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's never easy.
Well, and I need to do well, and part of my I do need to take better care of myself without a doubt. It's been a difficult year for me, health wise. I mean, I've talked about it on the air. I have thyroid disease. I have Hashimoto's, and it's been the worst it's ever been the entire time I've had this disease, which has been the better part of 20 years. And it's still not right. I just got a test a couple of days ago. And the thing about it, it makes your hair fall out. It makes you gain weight like crazy. It makes you tired. It makes the like to the bone fatigue. It makes you fuzzy headed, and so you do your best to work through through all of it.
Now, I like that the other night you kind of jumped on a big goal for the year. And I know we're not supposed to be talking about the goals yet. But
well, wait, so you're going to hold on to
Okay.
that. No, we're not going to talk about the goals yet. That's coming in the second half of the show. So the one other thing that we didn't talk about were kind of the immigration issue. You know, building the wall and you know, whether the DACA kids can stay. I say kids, many of them are adults now.
Yeah.
Whether they can stay in the country and what that's going to look like. You know, the president actually has done a pretty good job of keeping his promises.
He has.
And so, I mean, like a lot more than other presidents, including, I mean, Republican or Democrat. If he says he's going to do something, he's doing it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, though, you know, on some of those issues, how he actually does it. You know what I mean? You know, you got to get the feeling, like, for instance, with the DACA thing, that was sort of a bargaining chip to try to force the Democrats to get the other thing that he wants, which is the wall, right? So he's like wanting to do this sort of thing that he does, which is to trade, right? So you want some protections for these DACA kids. It's going to cost you. You're going to have to vote to fund the wall.
Right.
Right.
Well, and Trump is a builder. He likes to build things. So I still don't think they're going to come up with the money to do it.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's going to cost a fortune, and we don't have it.
Yeah.
And how do you build a wall through the Rio Grande Valley? You know, what we talked about.
Yeah.
Big Bend National Park.
Yeah.
Or State Park.
Yeah. Again, it's going to be fascinating to see. I suspect what will happen is we'll get portions of a wall, right? We'll get areas where there is a wall where there wasn't a wall before, you know, so you can go and have the photo op. But I can't imagine getting the full wall all the way across. I just don't see that happening.
I don't see it happening either.
Yeah.
So, and gun control was a big issue this past year. You know, we had discussions about things that people who don't own weapons have never heard of, like bump stocks.
Yeah.
And you know, and of course, lots of discussions about the Second Amendment. Robert Reich, who was he Commerce Secretary under
Treasury.
Oh, that's right, because he's an economist.
Yeah.
Treasury Secretary under President Clinton. He's a professor, and he is working hard to abolish the Electoral College. He thinks that the Electoral College needs to go.
Bad idea.
Because Trump won. It is a very bad idea. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, because you think, why do we have this? Why is somebody's vote in Wyoming worth more than mine? And the founders were very deliberate when they set up the Electoral College, because they had to balance the needs of the small states versus the needs of the big states, and highly, you know, the large states. If the Electoral College were to be abolished, all of the national elections would be decided by 7 states.
Yeah,
you would have California, New York, Pennsylvania, Texas, Florida, Ohio. And I'm missing one.
Yeah.
Illinois. And everybody else would be largely invisible.
Yeah. You know, and this requires this system requires candidates to essentially go out and talk to people in these other states and appeal to their interests, right? And as some of my friends have pointed out, there have only been a handful of elections where the winner got the Electoral College and didn't win the popular vote.
Right.
That doesn't happen very frequently. It's usually the other way around, where the person who gets the popular vote also gets the Electoral College. And, you know, when it happens, it speaks to some of the divisions in our country, that there really are competing visions for how our country should be run, and that to be a successful leader in this country, you need to be able to marshal, using the electoral college system, you need to be able to marshal people across the country.
Indeed.
Not just in those few population centers.
So, and the presidential elections have always been a function of the states,
Yes.
not the individuals. We don't have a direct democracy, so it's a function of the states, and so you vote in your state, and then your state votes for the president based on how the rules are set up in your own state, because every state has different rules.
Yeah.
In Iowa, we have a caucus. Are there? I think there's one or two other caucus states. Some of them have. There's primary elections, and some of them are open primaries. Some of them are closed primaries. It really depends on the individual states. And then the state then has delegates that vote. Vote based on the rules of those states.
Yeah. In California, it's based on congressional districts. And so the candidate who wins that congressional district gets all of the delegates from that congressional district, right?
Yes.
And there are other states that are similar to that. But and then whoever gets the majority in the state actually wins the whole state. So it really even breaks down to a congressional district by congressional district.
Yes, and that's it's very intentional, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's how it's not like it wasn't a mistake that the Electoral College was created. It wasn't to silence anybody. It wasn't to there was not a nefarious reason to. I've heard people say the Electoral College was based on slavery.
No.
Or that it's based on racism, which it's not. It's absolutely not. It's based on the fact that the states vote for president, not the individual.
It's based on this idea that there are all these different competing factions within our nation, right? And that they all deserve to be heard, okay? And the only way to ensure that all of those factions have a voice is to create a system like the Electoral College. Otherwise, as you, I think, rightly point out, it would be a few population centers around the country that would control the whole election. And everybody else who lived in any other area who didn't want to be in one of those population centers, who had different opinions, would essentially their vote would become meaningless.
Yeah, they'd be invisible.
Yeah. And so, by having the Electoral College, it forces the politicians to address all of these different issues that are important to different factions or different groups throughout the country. And I think that's important. I think that's an important feature of our government.
And that's a good segue into our break, because, as we're looking ahead to 2018, I think that this is going to become a bigger issue.
Yeah.
And with that, it's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292 FQ Riverside, and K293 CF Moreno Valley.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Carter. 12 people are dead, including 4 children, in New York City's deadliest fire in a quarter century.
They were burned. Even little kids in the structures burned.
The fire broke out last night and quickly spread through the 5-story building just a block from the Bronx Zoo. The death toll could go up as 4 people are fighting for their lives. President Trump tells the New York Times that he believes the special counsel in the Russia investigation will treat him fairly. He also said he has the absolute right to do what he wants with the Justice Department. That could include firing special counsel Robert Mueller. This brutal cold snap that's been thumping much of the northern part of the U.S. all week isn't showing any signs of letting up anytime soon. Temperatures plunging into the single digits with wind chills well below zero. Millions from the upper Great Plains to New England dealing with the bitter cold heading into New Year's Eve. Lisa Carter, NBC News Radio.
It's time for your KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3 traffic report. I'm Erin Brinker. Looks like we still have that blocked road on the 395, but both northbound and southbound between Phelan Road and Bear Valley Road. This is a crash investigation that was supposed to be finished at 6 a.m., but apparently it's still going on. So unfortunately, we don't have any alternate routes. So if you can take some time, grab some coffee, and wait this out, you should. This has been your traffic on KCAA. We are the stations that leave no listener behind. I'm Erin Brinker.
For
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Rod Tanner. For this morning, we expect a sunny day with a high of 81. It'll be clear tonight, low 51. It'll be sunny and warm on Friday with a high of 82. Heading into the holiday weekend, Friday night, it'll be clear, low 49. Saturday should be a sunny day with a high of 76. Saturday night looks to be clear with a low 47. For the final day of the year on Sunday, it'll be mostly sunny, our high 73. I'm Rod Tanner, broadcasting live from the Tri-City Center at the 10 and 210 freeways. We are the trifecta of talk in Southern California. KCAA 102.3 FM Riverside, 106.5 FM Redlands, and the Legacy 1050 AM Loma Linda, San Bernardino.
This holiday season, Quantum Nutrition Labs is featuring our brand new Quantum B12 on special. Buy two, get the third one free. Call 888-588-7578 or visit us online at qnlabs.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bob Marshall, PhD, host of Healthline. Tune in to get your questions answered and hear the latest breakthrough information for you and your family.
KCAA.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And I'm just in a kind of hard rock kind of mood today, except for the Aretha Franklin.
Yeah.
You know, we are on the break, the morning show on KCAA. So we're going to look forward to 2018 with some predictions.
So I'm on Facebook, and they have a little thing they're doing for the new year, which I think is kind of cool. It's hashtag hopeful4. Hashtag hopeful4. And then you put what you're hopeful for. Right? So I'm looking at one, it's a picture of a father holding his two little boys, and he wrote, "I'm hopeful for raising two great boys and losing my dad bod in 2018. Right?
There's nothing wrong with a dad bod.
No, I know. But, I mean, it's just interesting. I mean, I think I like that Facebook does kind of stuff like this. They also do your year in review video and some things like that, so you can,
I happen to love those videos.
I do too.
I love, one of the things that's really wonderful about social media is that you can stay connected with people that you don't have the opportunity to see very often.
Yeah.
And I want to see their kids and I, that they won the soccer game and that, that their cousin's getting married or that whatever. And I want to share, when something tragic happens, I want to show that support. I know when my mom died, all the love that came on Facebook meant a lot to me.
It did.
And I wasn't up to seeing visitors, but being able to go to Facebook and see that people were, at least in that moment, thinking about me and they were being supportive meant a lot to me.
Yeah, and it was interesting because of the way social networks work, that the range is people heard and it spread out from various people who knew your mom in different contexts, and they would then reach out to you. And you may have not ever had any real contact with that person directly, but they had a connection with your mom and they wanted to reach out to you because of hearing about it through social networks. And I found that fascinating, and it was, you had some very interesting connections with people during that time.
I did, and it was meaningful. As a matter of fact, I'm still, my brother and I, and mostly me, I'm still managing her Facebook page. And one of the questions that, and we'll get to the predictions, but one of the questions that I have, she's gotten friend requests that I've just been deleting because I don't think people realize that she's gone.
Yeah.
I don't know how to respond, and I don't really want to relive that every time she gets a friend request.
Yeah.
So, we're still maintaining her page, and I post there. I mean, obviously I can't talk to her anymore. She's gone, but I post on there to say, "Mom, I'm thinking of you" every now and then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think's coming in 2018?
Well, 2018, I think that we have a wedding coming up in our family.
Okay, that one, I mean, like...
You mean like in the global context? Like what's going to happen in the world?
Like not something that is already going to happen because it's on the calendar and planned. That's a cop-out.
Okay, so I've got some fears about some things that may happen, right?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, some anxiety about the stuff that's going on with North Korea, right? Like a lot of people, I mean, I think that Kim Jong-un is unstable, And I think that Trump is also a little bit unstable, and that the back and forth between these two definitely leaves a lot to be desired in terms of ramping things up, you know. And I worry that at some point one of them ramps it up by pushing a button, you know, and actually starting something, and us getting drawn into a major, you know, war that has big ramifications sort of globally, and there's some anxiety about that.
You know, it feels like war is imminent.
It does,
and not just here. I mean, I've seen press from other parts of the world where they feel like war is imminent.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's the mass migration in Europe, it's dictators in Turkey, in Venezuela has collapsed, which, you know, a country that large in South America is that makes an impact, absolutely makes an impact. The instability, like you said, in North Korea, the Middle East challenges, which are always there, but seems to be, you know, on high at the moment. Iran being ramped up. Thank you, President Obama. Iran is far stronger than it used to be. And, you know, that's scary.
Yeah, and so, you know, I guess if I'm making sort of the scary predictions is that we're going to end up in a war somewhere. And for me, North Korea, I think, is kind of the top of that list. But you're right, the Middle East, it could just as easily happen in the Middle East. And I think there are other spots, too, that are just sort of boiling. They're on a high simmer, and it all isn't going to take much to create something, to get that war started.
So U.S.-China relations, I don't see how that gets better. Trump has stepped on their toes very publicly, and in a country where protocol and image is everything. Saving face is incredibly important in China. It's part of the culture, and he just stomps all over that. I know he's got to have diplomats, or although the State Department's in disarray, I know that there are people who have got to tell him, you can't do that. Stop that. Because what they see is very different than what you mean.
I'm not as worried about China, although we did have a very reputable seer predict that China was going to overtake us as the number one country in the world.
Very reputable seer.
Well, she did predict 9/11, Aaron, and numerous other, you know, big things, supposedly.
Did she have quatrains too?
Anyway, I'm not as worried about China. I think that they get that it's not in anybody's interest to go to war, but I do believe that they can definitely throw their weight around in other respects. You know, we've been really focused on Russia and them hacking us and the things that Russia's been doing. Imagine if it's now coming from two fronts. Like, you've got Russia trying to hack you and you've got China trying to hack you, and both of them are making economic decisions that are designed to squeeze you, you know. And I can see that happening because Trump hasn't figured out how to make alliances. You know, in the old model, right, you had these sort of three big countries that were sort of the dominant ones. And we were always able to sort of play Russia and China off of each other, right? And that left the United States in the catbird seat. But we may be entering a phase where they start playing us off, you know, each other, right? And the United States is the one that's sort of getting taken down a notch. And I worry about that because we're not cultivating those relationships, you know? And that's where the real power is having the ability to sort of work with them to our own mutual interest against other aggressors.
You know, it's interesting, too, when you think about a war. When we went to both World War I and World War II, most of the young men that were called up to fight or who volunteered to fight were farmers. And so they did hard physical labor every day, and it was just part of, you know, who they were. We've talked about this with your dad, who grew up on a farm in Kansas. That, you know, it's just, they were in great physical condition. They ate food from the farm. There was no junk food. There was no processed food. There was none of the things. There were no video games. They were out and active all day long. We are a very different nation now. You know, and so the ability, if we were to go to war, for us to call up a solid army when so many of our young men and women are not in the physical condition to do the job, that's a problem.
It's interesting. You know, a couple years ago, I did the 50th anniversary for my middle school, and I got to go through all the old yearbooks and look at the pictures. And they had pictures of the kids back in the early days of the school, back in the 60s and 70s, in PE. And all the kids were in. If you looked at them, they look physically different. They're all thin, and they have pictures of them doing the chin-ups and climbing up the ropes and doing all of these very extensive exercises. None of that stuff is done anymore. About the only thing that they consistently do now is they have to run the mile.
Right.
Right.
Because that's required.
Yeah.
That's a president's physical fitness test.
And if you look at the kids today, a lot of them are overweight and obviously have other issues. And, we've seen this with our own kids. It's really hard to get kids outdoors. They all want to sit inside and play video games. And it's not just the boys. The
No, it's
girls
not
too.
just the boys.
And it's these smartphones, right? I mean, they've got everything they need for entertainment right there. And so why would I want to, go sweat? Why would I want to go outside? I got everything right here on my phone.
Exactly. And so if we do end up, if we're looking forward, if we do end up in a situation where they need to call up lots of people, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
As a nation.
We're going to have a readiness issue. Of course, there is a new way of fighting. It's very much like video games.
Right. The drones. Right.
Drones.
Yes.
Star Wars called it the Clone War. No, it's the drone war.
It's the drone war. Well, and we've never fought a war with the notable exception of the Revolutionary, the early wars.
Yeah.
So from the Civil War earlier, since then we've not fought a war on American soil.
Yeah.
And so, if the war comes to us, which it could, because we're far more mobile than we used to be, what does that look like? We've never had that. Do we have air raid sirens? Do we have, not that I want to scare people, but, makes me think.
Yeah.
It's probably a good idea. We all make fun of preppers, the doomsday preppers. But, having some food set aside, that's probably not a bad idea. The LDS Church, the Mormon Church, actually tells everybody, have a year's worth of food in storage.
Yes.
So that if anything happens, you can take care of your family and your community.
Yes.
And everybody's responsible for having food set aside.
Yes.
And, honestly, maybe it's not a bad idea.
No, it's not a bad idea, except that a year's worth of food for me is like a year's worth of food for 4 people, because I tend to overeat when I'm nervous.
Oh my God, me too. So with that, it's time for a break. I'm Erin Breaker.
And I'm Tobin Breaker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
Sunrise Collision Center would like to say that last year, between October 31st and January 31st, an average of 65 people nationwide were killed daily in alcohol-related car accidents. Practice moderation and common sense, for the life you save may be your own or that of a loved one. This reminder courtesy of Sunrise Collision Center, who are always providing the best quality repairs and restoration techniques on your vehicle. To restore your vehicle with genuine parts and accessories, call Don Paulson and the qualified personnel at Sunrise Collision Center, 909-434-0500. Sunrise Collision Center, on the air because they care.
This is Joe Lyons. The Mark Christopher Auto Center family now brings you a look into our new year.
In an age of incessant distraction and continual busyness, it's easy to lose sight of what we're supposed to be doing. If at work, we should focus on the task at hand. But in the company of family and friends, let's ditch the phone and enjoy the time with them. As 2018 unfolds, let's make an effort to be present and deliberate in every circumstance.
There's nothing like a brand new car for the brand new year, especially when you can save on a brand new car at the giant Mark Christopher Auto Center year-end clearance sale. And if that doesn't get you in the holiday spirit, nothing will. So hurry on down for the final markdown of the year going on right now at the giant Mark Christopher Auto Center, right on the 10 freeway in Ontario, or go online to markchristopher.com. Happy New Year from Mark Christopher, California's #1 volume GM dealer, family-owned and doing things right since 1975.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-643-6931 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-643-6931 to take your call now. Call 1-800-643-6931. That's 1-800-643-6931. Again, 1-800-643-6931.
Hi, everybody. Ray Lucia here with some important information about debt, your debt. Whether you have a first or second mortgage, you're looking to buy or refi a home or rental property, or just need to consolidate your credit cards to lower your payments and save some serious interest, you need to do some loan financial planning with Steve Alladort, my mortgage man, at loanfinancialplanner.com. Now, Steve's not your garden variety mortgage broker. He actually spends time evaluating how you can use the current super competitive interest rates to pay off your mortgage early. Purchase a rental property, improve your cash flow, upgrade to your dream home, or even help your kids or grandkids get into a house. That's what loan financial planning is all about. Steve's been helping me and my listeners for over 2 decades, and I can tell you he is the best finance guy in the business. Go to loanfinancialplanner.com. That's loanfinancialplanner.com.
Or call Steve Alladort at 888-563-1070. That's 888-563-1070.
So, you didn't like that opinion, okay? Give us another 15 minutes. This is the station that leaves no listener behind, KCAA.
I've got another confession to make. I'm your fool. Everyone's got their chains to break, holding you. Will you bother resist or be abused? Is someone getting the best of you?
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinkert.
And I'm Tobin Brinkert.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3 on this last broadcast day for us in 2017. So, Nostradamus had some predictions, and they're all dire.
Yes.
And I got to be honest with you. I know people say he predicted World War II, and he predicted... No, No. He wrote vague, open-ended quatrains, predictions. I don't want to say predictions. He just... Whatever. He says World War III is going to start this year, but I don't know.
Okay. So, I told you I've got some fears that there may be a war coming. One of the books that I love is a book called Generations, and it talks about these generational cycles, right? And it actually says that we could, and it lists a whole bunch of possible big bad things that could happen, but that in the next several years that we're kind of approaching the end of this unraveling phase where we have some big dramatic thing that happens and then everything gets righted. Right around 2022, 2024 is when things are supposed to get right again. So we've got basically another 8 years of difficult times.
So, and this particular book, it's Generations and the Fourth Turning, right?
Yes.
And so it was written in 1995, and using statistics, the authors showed the cycles that people have, and they grouped generations based on the time that they were raised and kind of what their experiences are, and all the way back to the Revolution and before.
So if you use World War II as a starting point, you go back about 80 years and you've got the Civil War. You go about 80 years before that and you've got the American Revolution. And they just keep going back and back, and so you see that there's these cycles that sort of repeat, and so
we're due.
Now I don't put too much weight on that. I mean, I think that it definitely could happen, and a lot of the arguments they make for it, kind of make sense. And like I said, there's a lot of anxiety, but I'm not sure it'll happen. It could be a lot of things.
So my poo-pooing Nostradamus has to do with the fact that I don't. He was just a guy. That's all. Now, if you're looking at statistics and you can show patterns, and you're looking at something concrete. And I'm a person of faith, but Nostradamus is not somebody I have faith in.
Yeah.
But I do have a faith in our ability to analyze patterns over time.
Yes.
And that is analyzing an analysis of patterns over time.
It is. So anyway, I don't know what's going to happen, but I have a sense of doom.
And I was worried about the stock market moving into 2018 because we're just out there on,
Yeah.
it's gotten so high, higher than it's ever been. Housing prices in Southern California have now reached pre-recession prices. And if
Yeah.
you think about that, that's, that was during a time of mania, those pre-recession prices. And so I was a little worried. Now, having said that, this tax cut,
Yeah.
I maybe changes that. Maybe I'm less afraid of there being a big recession.
I do worry a little bit, though, that this is kind of like the everyone's kind of optimistic because unemployment's low and the stock market's doing well, but it doesn't quite feel right. I mean, again, it's a gut feeling thing, and I can't help but have this like nagging suspicion that it's like right before the next Great Depression, right?
Yes.
That we've unwound a bunch of the things that were supposed to protect us, and that there's really all of this is just kind of a bubble,
A global bubble.
Yeah.
Because we're so interconnected. The Great Depression was global as well.
Yeah.
And then what?
Yeah.
And then what? So let's have some happy predictions because
Okay.
we're a little gloomy doomy right now.
I agree. Oh my God, the world's coming to an end.
I predict that next year will be a better year for movies because this year was so colossally bad.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And the show before us, I always kind of listened to them as we're coming in, and they were talking about it, and they think the biggest movie is going to be the kind that you hate, which is a remake or a sequel. But they're saying that Infinity War, right?
I don't even know what that is.
Which is the basically pulls together all of the superheroes from the
God, another sequel and another superhero movie.
Yes.
Yawn.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, whatever. No, it's not. It's going to be the same old, same old. If that's what Hollywood is still pumping out, then I'm not interested.
Yeah. Anyway, but they think that's going to be like Titanic big, right? And I kind of agree. I think that's the kind of movie that's going to get a lot of viewers. The question is, can they get back to just creating good content that isn't the remake or the sequel, right?
Right.
Can we get just people making really good movies that people will pay to go see when you have all these other competition you can see at home?
Excuse me, or it's a remake or a sequel to something that's very old, the
Yeah.
people that an entire generation
Yeah.
or two has not seen. And I'm not talking about The Wizard of Oz because that's been
Yeah.
done.
Now-
I'm not talking about Gone with the Wind or something that's iconic, but something that I guess what I'm saying is that remakes aren't all necessarily bad.
Yeah. Well, before we leave today, before we wrap this up, I do want to give you some props because we didn't. I started to talk about your big goal for the year, and you've been wanting to do this massive hike through the San Bernardino Mountains, the San Gorgonio Mountains, and you had some things. Thank you. Cut me off there.
Sorry.
You had some health issues and other things that got in the way this year, and you've sort of reaffirmed it, and you're going to try to do it this year. And you've got a partner, you've got a friend who we met the other night who's also very interested in doing this. And I think that's going to motivate you. And I also think by putting it out here in the world, right, we're shouting it out here today.
Okay, I'm scared
Aaron's
now.
going to do this, right? When you do that, it helps to hold you accountable, right, to actually meeting your goals. So I'm excited that you're going to do this big hike.
So my goal is, and I would say by November, because I don't think I can be ready by my birthday.
Okay.
By the end of October of this year, I want to hike from Big Bear to Silverwood, which is about 55 trail miles.
Mm-hmm.
And I would do it over several days, a big backpacking trip. I really love being in nature. I really love being in the mountains. And I'm going to conquer this stupid thyroid disease. And I'm putting it out there.
Awesome. And like I said, I'm kind of still struggling with what my goal is going to be. I've kind of said to a bunch of people that I'm thinking I'm going to do 13 half marathons, but that's a costly goal because each of those half marathons costs money.
Yeah.
And I've also kind of thought it to myself of saying, well, maybe I'll just do my first triathlon, like a sprint triathlon. But then that requires me to get a bike, which I don't have. So, so I'm kind of on the fence about those kind of goals. But we've got so much coming up this year with the wedding and other things that I really don't want to, commit too much.
We are completely out of time, but I do want to say really quickly that with so much turmoil going around, it's really important that our interpersonal relationships are intact. Spend time with people you love.
Amen.
Get out and do things together, because the people are going to be what gets you through. So with that, I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. Have a great holiday weekend, everyone.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
I'm John Lesher, CNBC Radio. The futures are higher on this last day of stock trading in 2017. This is Amazon's annual Digital Day. Customers will have access to more than 5,000 discount offers in 8 categories, including apps, ebooks, mobile games, movies, and TV shows. It's going to be a happy new year for Netflix CEO Reed Hastings. He's going to get about $29 million in stock options on top of his $700,000 base salary. Shares of Netflix are up nearly 56% this year, but it's the new tax law that's getting the credit. Goldman Sachs estimates the tax overhaul will cost it $5 billion in fourth quarter earnings, mostly because of the repatriation tax. And New York Governor Andrew Cuomo thinks that the new law may be unconstitutional because it disproportionately affects high-tax blue or Democrat states like New York by capping state and local tax deductions at $10,000. John Lesher, CNBC.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man age 45 non-tobacco user, $1 million of coverage, $75 per month level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Termbusters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-800-569-5440. That's 1-800-569-5440. You're probably paying more than you should. Call Termbusters, 1-800-569-5440, or visit our website at termbusters.net. Remember, 1-800-569-5440. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
Here's the latest in local news from KCAA. I'm Erin Brinker. A search of another home at Eastvale has revealed a thriving crop of marijuana. Sheriff's deputies found about 1,000 plants inside the house on Raft Circle on Thursday. No one was there at the time. Eastvale, the Inland Empire's newest city, has been the Inland Empire's epicenter for indoor marijuana cultivations in recent years. A stretch of Highway 395 in Hesperia was expected to remain closed until early Friday while a deadly accident was investigated. The Thursday evening mishap shut down the highway between Eucalyptus and Main Street, according to the California Highway Patrol incident log. And it's still blocked. I'm checking the traffic right now. It is still blocked, so please avoid the 395. Work is about to begin on widening the I-15 Santa Ana River Bridge near Norco. A portion of the adjacent Santa Ana River Trail will be closed for an extended period beginning January 4th for the safety of horses, riders, and pedestrians. And that is the latest in local news, and we're going to continue with the traffic. And of course, 395 is still closed. You'll want to avoid that area. In Lake Elsinore on the 15 northbound at Indian Truck Trail, a 3-vehicle crash is blocking the 2 left lanes. And in Chino Hills on the 71 southbound after Ramona Avenue, a crash is now on the right shoulder, but some debris remains in lanes. This has been your traffic on KCAA. We are the stations that leave no listener behind. I'm Erin Brinker.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Rod Tanner. For this morning, we expect a sunny day with a high of 81. It'll be clear tonight, a low of 51. It'll be sunny and warm on Friday with a high of 82. Heading into the holiday weekend, Friday night, it'll be clear, a low of 49. Saturday should be a sunny day with a high of 76. Saturday night looks to be clear with a low of 47. For the final day of the year on Sunday, it'll be mostly sunny, our high 73. I'm Rod Tanner, broadcasting live from the Tri-City Center at the 10 and 210 freeways. We are the trifecta of talk in Southern California. KCAA 102.3 FM Riverside, 106.5 FM Redlands, and the Legacy 1050 AM Loma Linda, San Bernardino.
This report is brought to you by Unbound.org. What is the education of your children worth? There are children across the world who lack the privilege of going to school. Change the story for one child at Unbound.org.
Attention all business owners, join C's Candies, Big Lots, Dollar Tree, and the Spunky Steer at the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands. Availability is now open for restaurants, retail, and more. Located between Alabama and the Tennessee exits where the 10 and the 210 meet, your company can be a part of over 60 retail shops, restaurants, and local businesses. The Tri-City Shopping Center is zoned for multi-use, so call today and schedule an appointment. Ask for Chris Beauchamp or John Jennings, 951-684-4400. The Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands, the mall with a heart.
This is Joe Lyons. The Mark Christopher Auto Center family now brings you a look into our new year.
Time hurtles towards us at 60 minutes an hour. Spending a few of those minutes each day reflecting on our blessings, our friends and loved ones, that beautiful sunset on the way home from work, or the kind word that came our way today. Those few minutes can renew our appreciation for life. As 2018 unfolds, we wish you an abundance of contentment.
There's nothing like a brand new car for the brand new year, especially when you can save on a brand new car at the giant Mark Christopher Auto Center year-end clearance sale. And if that doesn't get you in the holiday spirit, nothing will. So hurry on down for the final markdown of the year going on right now at the giant Mark Christopher Auto Center, right on the 10 freeway in Ontario, or go online to markchristopher.com. Happy New Year from Mark Christopher, California's #1 volume GM dealer, family-owned and doing things right since 1975.
KCAA, where every day is a great day. I'm Stephanie Miller.
It's the Stephanie Miller Show.